Hello everybody and welcome to the Firestorm run for Risk of Rain. It is playing it with the loader because I said that I would in the last video, which was of course the sniper run, that I was going to do it with a melee class. And the loader is my go-to guy because it's the one that I've played the most of and therefore have the most experience with. I could probably do it with other classes. I actually got the miner quite far in and then he died and I was disappointed. But yeah, I'm going to admit it, the loader, he's a bit easier. And there are several reasons for that. But first, let's just talk about what we've actually got going on here. In case you didn't watch my sniper video, maybe you should. Maybe you should. I'm just going to throw that out there. It would help explain things. But I'm going to explain them anyway, so you don't have to. Counterproductive, I know. So this is a Firestorm run. It's named Firestorm because the difficulties are named after various types of weather effects, and my gamer tag is Localfire, so I like to add fire in there. And I came up with this all by myself. Possibly this is already out there on the internet and it's called something completely different. I don't know, I wasn't looking. I do such research and it's quality stuff. So what we're doing is a solo run on Monsoon difficulty. No drones. Melee character, obviously it's the loader. I have glass active, which reduces my overall health but increases my damage by 500%. Also does this for enemies, so nicely balanced. Makes it very, very deadly to get into close range combat with any mob at all, especially at this point in the game. Which is fantastic because I'm a melee class, so I'm all about getting up close and personal. I've also got Spite active, which causes enemies to drop those little bombs whenever they die. That's not a normal feature if you're not used to Risk of Rain. That's the Spite relic in play, and it is, at this point, deadly because those bombs are strong enough to kill me if they hit, or at least they were. I've leveled up a couple of times, so now I can survive a couple of those. But as we progress, there will be more and more bombs as the enemies grow stronger and stronger. So right now they're dropping 1 or 2, and that is incredibly easy to dodge. Not going to be the case for very long. I also have the Origin active, which is going to cause a bunch of imps to spawn into the environment as an invasion force once every 10 minutes. That includes a boss. Depending on whether or not your run is going particularly well, that can be like not a problem at all to, oh damn, this is just gonna really screw me over. Sometimes it happens. I have Command active, which allows me to choose which items I want. That is, I think, the last one. No, I also have Spirit. Spirit, which is a relic which boosts movement speed for everyone when their health is low. So that includes enemy mobs, that includes me. So I can run away really easily if I'm injured, but as you can see by those crabs going haywire over there, they can also move a lot faster. And when you're trying to get in there, land a couple of hits and then run away, it is so deadly to have the fact that the monster can just close on you and you can't escape. At this early point in the game, that is really dangerous. Later on, it's less so, and I'm starting to think it might be advantageous, but it's also dangerous because it does work for the enemies. I'm up in arms as to whether or not it was a good idea to include that in terms of, did it make it easier or harder? In some places it's making it harder, and then in others it's making it easier, and I'm not sure. So, the last thing is that I'm not allowed to stack items on top of one another, and that is the most important thing in Risk of Rain, is stacking the items on top of one another. Their stat boosts and effects are all designed for you to have multiple stacks of them on top of one another for them to become truly effective. And by making sure that they don't stack, it makes it that much harder. I could, of course, go and restrict myself to certain items and whatnot, but we're not going to do that yet. Maybe sometime in the future we will go an even more ridiculous route. But that is why we have the Command relic, which would usually be a relic which is nothing but goodness for a player character. And the Command relic lets me choose which items I want when they drop instead of being random, and that just means that I can choose the items that I need so that I don't end up with the stacks and therefore fulfill the conditions of the thing that I'm trying to do. There was that spirit relic really showing off its stuff when that yellow Lemurian was chasing me. So that is the gist of it, and I just took so long to explain that. That was terrible. I was far more concise in my last video. Wow. I'm only getting worse. Go and watch that other one. Its commentary is better. Go, you're not setting a high bar here, but yes, I admit to that. It's better. I'm not saying it's good, I'm just saying it's better. So yeah, we just talked straight through probably the most exciting part of this early stage of the video, where I'm like, oh, boss fight, you know, some action going. Let's talk about the action on screen. No, let's talk about the technical bullshit that is, like, the, not technical, I suppose, rules that are going into the challenge run. And now we get the wonderful, tedious part where I walk around and open chests. Yeah! That's the part where you need some commentary to keep you going. Has it been 6 minutes already? Oh god, I'm so good at talking for an extended period of time. It probably doesn't show, but I'm like the strong silent type, or just the silent type really. And I do good when it comes to talking for an extended period of time on any subject, particularly one that I feel comfortable talking about, like Risk of Rain, something that I've played a lot of and therefore know quite a bit about. That was a waste of time. Yeah. So yeah, I was feeling pretty good at this point, but that's nothing special. It is actually quite easy to get through this part if you don't die within the first few minutes. If you can build up like enough level ups and stuff to actually survive getting hit by something, that's generally where you're going to die. I can tell you how many times I've got the mercenary and I've been playing through and I'm just like, hey, I'm just going to fight these guys, and oh, that was a mistake. And then you die, and it's not good. And yeah, the character class is very important. Loader, like I said, I'm used to him, so I'm good with him. And I think that he is probably the best melee class, purely because he's got an attack which can get him in close to an enemy, or alternately be used to pull him out of combat. He's got a move which lets him set up like a little electrical pillar like that, and then shock people with it by putting another one in the correct place, and therefore not having to engage them in melee combat, as you'll see. Watch, I'm going to drop one. It's going to fall down from where I put it, and it's going to kill that guy. Not that he could attack me from there, but I recognize him as a threat. Greater Wisp, he can hit you from miles away for massive damage, and yeah, it was pretty much a case of just making sure that I could kill him easily. And lastly, of course, well, not lastly, second to lastly, his damage avoidance move is straight up invincibility for like a couple of seconds, which is awesome. It's like, hey, we need to get in there and take care of business. And the way that I try to build them up with the item stacks that I'm getting is to make it deadly to stand next to me. Charge field generator, ice relic, barbed wire, hopefully a Tesla coil if I can get it, and then that just makes it so that, hey, you standing next to me, you're gonna die. I go invincible, and then I rush in and I just hammer away. You just hammer on in there and just crush them. And hopefully that'll take care of business before the invincibility runs out and everything kills you in like instantaneously. And then you just gotta worry about the bombs, which at this point they're still not quite spawning enough to be an instant death for being too close. But don't worry, we'll get there. We'll get there. So right now you're probably looking at the items that I've chosen. Always get the infuser first. Lets you get more health. I've got the barbed wire because I already explained that. I've got a couple of ones there, like the first aid kit and the bitter root, which are awesome because they let you survive. longer. More health regeneration. Oh, here comes our first boss fight with the Origin boss. That was just the most convenient time and place for him to spawn. I already had, like, one of the pillars ready to go, and there was nothing else attacking me. If you have him spawn in the middle of a boss fight, then it's like, oh my god, I should have been paying attention to the clock, but I wasn't, because I was trying to push forward and do well before monsters showed up and killed me. And now I'm going to die because of it. So as you can already see, there's a lot of bombs starting to spawn. This is nothing. Just wait until we get up to like the magma barracks or somewhere. I hate the magma barracks, like, mostly because I always end up there, and when I'm playing a melee class, there's a good chance that Cremator will spawn, and he just swims around in the lava and makes it hard for me to kill him. Because he's swimming in lava. So that's something to look forward to if you keep watching. How have you managed to make it this far? Oh man, that is impressive. Yeah, there are a lot of bombs going off, and all I can say is it's going to get worse, because at least this place is nice and open. Could be worse. You could be in like narrow tunnels and caves, and those bombs will hit the ceiling, and then they'll be like, hey, I've had my bounce, I'm going to explode now. You happen to be standing close enough, they'll just destroy you. And it's happened many a time to me. I will get up to the Temple of the Elders, and it will be like, hey, time to set off a whole bunch of bombs all at once, and then you die. You're like, great! I know that the commentary is not that stellar, and you are probably thinking, why didn't you just leave this silent? I am asking myself the same thing, but we've already started, and I've kind of dedicated myself to a lengthy talk about rubbish. So how are you doing? I'm basically planning on doing a series of videos on any game that I start, and I'm going to try and do like a sort of edited video, which is sort of like scripted and edited, so that it is like less of this, basically, less of this awful commentary. And then I'm going to do like a full unedited version, because I think that would be appreciated, maybe, that you'd like to see the challenge run that I'm talking about in another video, and I'll be like, hey, I did actually do this, and I'm not just talking about it and pretending like I had. Here's some actual me playing the game straight through, unedited, you know. Also, it gives me extra content, because I'm gonna be honest, I'm not very good at games, and I'm presenting myself like I'm good at games, because if you're gonna play them online, you've either got to be really good or just so bad that it's entertaining. And so bad that it's entertaining, I think I could do that, but I would also have to have the force of personality to pull that shit off, which I don't. You might have noticed. God, people, stop judging me. And don't say that you aren't, because you are. You've been sitting here going, listen to that commentary. What are you waffling on about? I know, it's terrible. But yeah, it's going to provide more content, and hopefully, like, hopefully I'm going to produce some videos for games which don't take as long as this. It's like, yeah, this is only an hour long. Yeah, I'm looking at something which is going to be much shorter, just for the benefit of that sort of thing. And the best thing about it being shorter is the fact that I'll be able to just not record it after the fact, and you'll actually get some reactions in there, some actual live, real-time reaction bullshit, which I think should be better. Maybe, hopefully, possibly. It'll certainly make it easier to think about things that I'm talking about, because manual again. Yeah, it'll make it easier to talk about stuff, because you're not sitting there going, I'm bad at commentary and I can't think of anything. You'll be talking about what's happening right now. What it's like to actually be playing that jump. And there will be large spaces of silence in between for you to really appreciate how quiet I can be. That's what comes natural to me, being quiet. Which is probably what I should have done. Oh well. enough of me complaining. This is probably not what you want to hear. Me complaining about my social ineptitudes. I'm not much of a conversationalist. Again. At this point, this is still incredibly easy, and I'm honestly wondering why that is. So I was having a hard time with this when I was trying it, like, earlier. I just took a break and I came back, and suddenly it was done. It's just like, something clicked, and then all of a sudden I'm good. And this literally took 5 attempts. This is attempt number 5, I think. Might be less. I could look, but I'm not going to. It's 5 or 6 attempts, which is pretty good. Usually if you're going to die, you die in the first couple of minutes, or you die on level 4. Or after. But I think it might have been the fact that I was editing together the sniper video, and I was watching it, and I saw all the mistakes that I was making as I played through. And I was like, I should really just do this instead. So what I was doing is I was doing things like I was opening boxes in the middle of combat in order to get like some minuscule percentage bonus off some rubbish item that I didn't really need, and getting like really hit quite badly and losing a lot of health. I'm watching that and I'm like, it's not worth it, that box isn't going anywhere. I could just wait until the end of the combat and then go around and collect them later, which is what I'm doing now. I mean, part of this is remembering which items you have and trying to make sure that you don't pick up a second copy of that item, so you're not stacking multiples, because that defeats the purpose of the challenge, and therefore you failed it and you have to try again, and that's a pain in the butt. But that means that you're slowly checking against the different items, and of course you could just go and pick them all up in order, which would make it so much easier. But then you're not getting the bonuses that you need like right now in order to survive, because some of the items are better than others. Some of them are better for this class than other classes, and it does make it tricky, and it means that in the middle of combat you're trying to pick up an item and you're going, which ones do I have? Oh crap, pick them the monsters, they're attacking me, I can't move. I can't just cancel out of this either. You got to make your choice and then live with it, and it's generally quite terrible. And I did make that mistake later on. You will see that if you watch this all the way to the end. Close to the end, I tried to pick up an item in the middle of all these enemies. I didn't even drop the conducting rods. I know that their technical name is the M440 something. So yeah, I'm just going to call them conducting rods. I didn't drop those to help like injure enemies. Not that it would have mattered at that point, because everything's got so much health that none of my attacks really do all that much damage anyway. But yeah, that was one mistake that I was making. Another one was trying to get a lot of items out of levels when I've already got enough. So there was a point where I'd be like, hey, I should get all the green items, and I should get all the white items, and I should get as many red as I can. And as many red as I can still holds true, because yes, you do want those, but yeah, you don't want to be wasting time getting all of the whites and all of the greens, because it just means that more monsters spawn and have a better chance of just destroying you. And it happened frequently enough that I was like, why am I doing this? Also, I'm going to have to do a commentary over the top of that awful gameplay, which is bad. The loader is just so good. He is so good, you guys. You don't even know. I put it solidly down to the fact that he can do combos, whereas the other melee classes don't. Like, you're playing as the mercenary or the miner, and it's like, hey, what's their basic attack? It's a single attack that doesn't chain together. The loader, he's got a 1-2-3 combo, which makes him particularly deadly when he's hitting someone, because you're playing the mercenary. Especially early on, you try to kill something with an attack, and he's like, hey, you got that one hit, it didn't kill them. Now they're going to counterattack you and you're dead. And if they're a golem, your only option is like certain skills that you better hope you don't have on cooldown, and you inevitably do because you're being really cocky and trying to show off. So that's what I was talking about. I knew that there was a point in which like that imp was going to spawn in during another boss battle. By this point, of course, it didn't matter because we have reached sort of that midpoint of the game where I've got enough items and I'm a high enough level that I am pretty hard to kill. This counter on the side has not yet picked up to, hey, you actually need stacks, full stacks of survival crap. Quickly get down that ladder, which I should have done a lot quicker. Those bombs are bound to like this area. They're not going to explode and go downwards. They can explode upwards and sideways, but not down. So that rope, I really should have just gone down it, but I didn't, like an idiot. I can't remember if I went around during this playthrough and then picked up all the items, or if I activate the transporter and then go and collect all the items afterwards when it's saved. I've done this enough times that I'm not sure which playthrough this is necessarily. It all blurs together after a while when you do enough attempts. And you may be going, yeah, didn't you say you only did 4 or 5? Yeah, but I don't like not get far. I mean, I'll include in the death montage some of the ones where I didn't get very far, mostly because, you know, those ones take a lot less time to get to the interesting part, which is the one where you die. Yeah? Yeah, I think that this is the one where I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna just do the thing. I'm gonna activate the teleporter. God, it's a good thing that none of these guys are injured because, oh, if they could close on me super fast, I would be so screwed. You can already see a couple of ones at the bottom which were injured and able to move at a ridiculous speed, just going around. Yeah, you gotta use that invincibility to jump in there and just do as much damage as humanly possible. In case you're wondering, that's whenever I jump in. You probably noticed, but maybe you haven't. Whenever I jump like straight in up close on a boss, I'll be invincible when I'm doing it with my invincibility move. Otherwise, I'll just run through and jump because they can still kill you really, really fast. And then all those bombs drop off them, and you realize that, hey, if I was standing next to that, I would probably die as well. Again, like, that happens a lot when you're playing as a miner and stuff, because miner is mercenary. I never play as handy. I don't know. Maybe I should. Anyway, when you're playing as the miner and stuff, it just, yeah. Those bombs, they're super lethal, I guess, because this guy, you can sort of use that to get away, like the lightning rods, conductors, whatever I was calling them literally 5 minutes ago and then forgotten and changed probably right now. You can use those to finish off a big dude so that you're not actually right there in its face when all those explosions go off. And yeah, I'm watching through this and I'm kind of watching to see if there is a point at which I'm definitely saved by the spirit relic. And there was a point there where I got a massive speed boost which allowed me to get miles away from my enemies, but also the timekeeper's secret kicked in there, so I was going to get away from them anyway. So I'm not sure just yet. I'm looking at it and thinking, nah, spirit so far has been like sort of neutral, really. About the same as if it weren't there. Ah yeah, you gotta get this armor, because it gives you like some temporary invincibility, which is so important when you're standing right next to everything punching them. I don't think there's a chest up there. Nope. There's one there though. Yeah, I did do this that way. Oh. It's gonna be quite tedious as we go around. And with those machines, yes, I know that you can stop them at a certain point if you're like, hey, that's the item I want, you hit it again. try and stop it at the item that you want, but I'm just letting them clock out because I'm looking at them and I'm going, if I get it wrong and I get an item stack and I have to start over, I just, yeah, it's such a pain in the ass, especially when you're having a good run. Namely, any run that gets you past the first level. And again, you can see why I can't do this in combat, where you go through each section and you're just like, which ones do I want? Oh man. Again, those were mistakes I was making. And they seem so obvious when you're looking at them afterwards, but when you're actually there, playing it, and you're doing it, you're not thinking about that sort of thing. You're not really analysing the way that you're playing and going, oh man, these are so many ways that I could improve. You're sitting there going, oh, I need this and this, and I'm focused on what I'm doing and stuff. That was so articulate. God, give that man a prize. Yeah. So it does help to look at these things afterwards. And I think it really has made a difference in that I have not died a whole lot during this attempt. Because honestly, I was expecting this to take maybe a couple of days to pull off. And instead it took like literally I just sat down and it was done. And I'm as surprised as anyone, though maybe I shouldn't be. Maybe I am good at something. There's the fireworks, I don't need those. And that's what I mean, like if I stop this thing in the middle of its like going on, then yeah, I'm gonna be like, oh, I just picked up something I didn't want. Like that. That's 2 items. And as you get more items, the chances of you screwing up and getting one of those extra items is even larger. What is that? I can't take that. Yeah, so this is exciting. Going through there, doing the stuff. If you want, skip ahead. I'm gonna say 4 minutes or so. You know what? I'll put an annotation in that you can skip to the next level. I really should have done that right from the start. Sweet heavens. Yeah, if you're here, you probably saw it already on the edited video. It was just like skip to the next level. Don't listen to me talking. You've missed some quality times though, haven't we? Have we not had such a conversation that you're just like, if it weren't for the gameplay, I wouldn't even be here. Fair enough. Fair enough. Look, you've made it this far. You might as well begrudgingly subscribe to this thing. You know, you put it up with that. That's a champion move. This could be your challenge. You could do that. My challenge run is that I'm going to watch all your videos all the way through. I'm going to do something else, you know, on the side while this is going down, because I don't mean to offend you. Don't worry, you're not. Oh god, even I have a hard time watching me do this. That's not a good thing. You're trying to make the most entertaining video that you can, and you're finding it boring. Well done. So for those of you who just skipped, you didn't miss anything. Hopefully you did skip. If you didn't, oh my god, you poor fool. When I tell you to skip, you skip. That's what the button in the corner was for. To skip to this part, where it's more interesting. This is the part where I die a lot. I don't know what it is, but like, you'll notice that I've just taken like so much more damage than I normally would. And it's just the magma barracks. That's just the way it rolls. It just likes to mess with you. Okay, let's drop off one of these. That was spectacularly ineffective. Oh wow, that was Really good. And here's the best part. I accidentally pulled myself off the wall there, but that's not the best part. Look at the time! Look at the time in the corner. That's right! Extra dimensional portal time! That was glorious. Just dropping off those mines and hoping that they teleport into them, only to have the bison use 90% of them, which was terrible. But we totally managed to avoid like 90% of blah blah. So in the end, I am reasonably proud. And we could kill the toxic beast like quite easily, provided that enough guys stay inside the charge field to like continuously die, so that I don't have to go up there and fight the boss myself. I'm a lover, not a fighter. What's made me so particularly good at this. See, I'm not sure if it was that actual lightning rods that killed her there, or if it was me going up there and having my frost relic charge field, barbed wire, do the deed. Because it is quite deadly when you've got that many stacked, like all three of them going. I'm pretty sure that they're getting a damage boost to some of the items, which I'm not going to check. This isn't about research, you know. So yeah, now the boss is done, and this is pretty much over. This was one of the mistakes that I was making when I rewatched like old runs to see it and be like, hey, what am I doing wrong to get like stuck all the time? That was one of the mistakes that I was making. I was spending a lot of time in these levels. I was having so many guys spawn in, and then the bomb blast would just start killing me. Especially if I'm over on the left side of the level, which I'm not. This is nice and wide open, which means that the bombs have plenty of room to bounce around. So I don't have to worry about that. And if you look down in the bottom corner there, you'll see that there's a little tunnel leading off. That, I spent so long waiting for that to spawn in the normal game, and there it is. It always shows up when I don't need it. But yeah, as we go to the left, you'll notice something. You can skip this part, there should be a button in the top corner. When I eventually go to the left, there you'll see how narrow like the tunnel roofs are. It's not that narrow, but it's narrow enough that when the guys explode, bombs come out, they bounce on the floor, they hit the ceiling, they bounce back down, and then they all explode all at once. So you don't have like a sort of staggered explosion that you can sort of weave through. It's just like, hey, are you on screen? You're dead. And that's why I generally say that if you're on level 4, you're screwed. And I don't think I've ever had the hive show up as my level 4 level when I'm playing a challenge run. I think it's always the magma barracks, which is annoying because it always kills me. And half the time I end up fighting a cremator in this pool of lava, and it's just like, ah, really? Because that is super hard when you're playing a melee class to have a guy who swims around in the lava and shoots a lot of bombs. He has killed me so many times. Just ends these runs. It's terrible. But one of the good things, at least, is the fact that this is actually fairly small, so it does not take me long to collect up all this extra bullshit. If you're still with us, heaven knows why. Congratulations on sitting through this far. Leave a comment telling me that you put up with stuff. I will apologize profusely. But we're almost done, and then it's on to level 5. Still feeling pretty good that the spirit relic hasn't saved my butt yet. Yeah, this was annoying. You're gonna swap them out, but that means that I can't take the other ones. I did kind of want to see what the giant amethyst did, because I don't think I've ever bothered to use it before. And you will have noticed that earlier it unlocked. And that was because bugs. So hopefully you've skipped past that last part and are now joining us again. I'm sorry again if you just sat through that. If you sat through both sections that you could have skipped through, sweet heavens, you fool. When will you learn? Will it be this time? But this time, will it finally be enough to make you, like, not sit through this? Or you just like the pain, don't you? It's like, you're making my ears bleed, and I like it. Most people don't. So, yes. There, that should take care of you, toxic beast. You are the easiest boss of all the bosses. That was bad. Still, it was only like a quarter of your health, that one mistake. So I can afford to do that 3 times, you know? And that's the lesson we learn here. You can afford to screw up 3 times. Go invincible. Try and kill these guys. Realize that they're a lot stronger than you thought they were. Stick around and beat them up anyway, because yeah, you can do that. This is really the first point where you're going to get to a point where you're like, hey, I can't really just go in there and start beating on enemies anymore. They are just too tough. Yes! Yes they are. Except the archer bugs, which is nice because flying enemies are a pain in the butt. It's nice that you can chain them together by just killing guys. Thank you, Ceremonial Knife, it's one of my favourite items. I'm wondering if I could count that as like spirit saving my butt, because kinda. All the enemies were dead though, and the bombs weren't going to finish me off. I'm not going to count it. I'm probably not going to count any of them because that would totally like make my challenge run less legit. Not that it matters because I'm the one who set the conditions, not you. I don't have to live up to your expectations. You're not my dad. It's okay to disappoint you. Oh man. I just can't believe I lucked out there and got a red item. Although, not a great one. A semi-okay one. It does cause little fruit trees to sprout up and then you can heal yourself by eating their fruit. But the healing is not spectacular. Which is the problem. I mean, I think it does 8. It's like 8 health. I'm sorry, I would like, you know, a high class item like that to do a lot more than that, even though, I mean, there are several fruit trees that are sprouting. You've probably seen them, they're up there. There's 4 of them just popped up, 5. To be honest, it will probably save my life at some point and I wasn't paying attention and didn't notice. Oh man, I think I'm about to almost kill myself to death. Yeah, Timekeeper's secret saved my butt there. And then we eat the fruit and are suddenly thankful. Man, that was a 360 on that. I'm just like bad-mouthing the Interstellar Death Plant, being like, look, this thing is useless, and then immediately needing to use it. Wow. Yeah, I think I'm on low enough health here where I'm just avoiding everything. Again, Spirit's not saving me, people. It's not, because I was just avoiding everyone anyway. And they were not anywhere near me, so yeah. And now it's not that helpful because I've got plenty of health and I would have survived anyway. Justifying my jazz, people. This is going to go on for quite some time. I think that I just went around and opened like every chest and then tried to get 7 grand so that I could open the big red one. It's at this point that I think you're really seeing that lesson sink in of like, hey, you're probably going to die, so don't go opening those boxes and getting the items out of just yet, because, excuse me. But yeah, it's just, yeah. I've learnt my lesson until the next level, in which point I completely disregard it because I'm like, I can do it. No, you can't. The most important thing if you're doing a challenge is to always doubt yourself and everyone around you. I'm honestly not sure why I didn't just drop another one on this side when I first came through. Because seriously, could have done it. I was there, then I had to turn around and come back like a dumb guy. I think this is probably the best example of me beating on the Imp Overlord, because you just knock him off the cliff and then you bounce back up and you hammer him again and do nothing about it. Oh, if only all bosses were that easy. Use a brief bit of invincibility there to get in some good shots. Just unleashes a flood of bombs. The stairs helping out marvelously. Yeah, this is going quite well. And you can see how much that armor really saves your butt. I was looking at this like, because usually a scavenger will end up killing me. Because they can deal so much potential damage, like, right off the bat. This guy, well, one, he's right in the middle of the level, so I kind of had to kill him in order to get past him. But, yeah, he wasn't that bad. I dodged him. Got plenty of health. He's going super fast now, but he can't get off that little platform. And I'm just going to jump over him and bink. That really shouldn't hit him, but it does. I think it's here that I'm like, time to activate this portal. We luck out when we get a Toxic Beast. Always Toxic Beast and Colossus. So easy. If you can, you should recycle through the levels over and over again until you get like one level where it's just like, hey, here's 7 magma worms, go. That is crazy. And it's also awesome to play through. I don't know if you've ever done it. If you haven't, then give it a try. See if they kill you, and then immediately, like, this will be like, okay, it's time to fight the final boss now, and have a successful run. Because I almost died. Otherwise you just keep pushing until something almost kills you. Which is why I've played like a 5-hour straight session of this. And it is, yeah, it gets to a point where it's pretty ridiculous. But by that time, going through that many times, you've got like so many items that you are like the god of death. And you simply destroy everything. Even with all the relics on. Relics on, relics off, it doesn't matter. You've got so many items. Which is probably what inspired me to be like, hey, why don't I just do it without like stacking them on top of one another? I still want the items, because that's half the fun of picking up stuff and being like, oh yeah, I got X. Especially the red ones. They're always cool. And here we go, I'm going to go and get... Oh no. Okay, so I'm going to tell you that you can skip now. Box should appear up in the top corner. What I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get that big red chest, realize that I don't have the ability to actually climb up and get it, and then go back to the other side of the level to get an item in order to let me get up to the red chest in the first place. I mean gold chest. It's got a red item in it. Yeah, it's good old tedious tactic of picking shit up after the fact. Which is good in terms of like playing the game, but not so great in terms of anything else. Watching it. If you stuck around, you're about to see what I mean. Like, oh, ideally I wouldn't have picked up this green item here. I would have tried for the red one first. And then I would have realized I need the jetpack in order to get up there. So I've got the feather, which gives me double jump. So I'd be fine if I could just get a little higher, which is what the rusty jetpack will give me. And I'm like, oh, there's a green item that dropped that I never picked up. It's on the other side of the map. Let's go get that. And now here we are, going and getting that. Hopefully you did press the skip button. Again, if you haven't, what is wrong with you? Why do you subject yourself to this? Yourself and also me. because now I have to talk through this part. Have I not complained about it enough by this point? I don't know. I feel like I don't have enough technical advice on this game to really... If I was playing something like Rastan, I could give you pointers as you went through and be like, hey, you should do this, this, and this, and on this part do this. And I'd be like, yeah, we're having a conversation and it's being useful. This is constructive. You can watch this video and then replicate it, hopefully, maybe yourself. And that's what I'm going to do when I get around to that particular video. I don't know why I'm going up. I know it's at the bottom. There's nothing up the top. Idiot. Yeah, so don't let this put you off watching a much shorter video, because a much shorter video will probably have a lot better content, you know? Especially if I do one where I'm allowed to die repeatedly and then like just keep going, respawn. I'm thinking of doing Betrayer again. I've already done it where I've played through with just a knife. You do die quite a bit because you make mistakes. So I'm thinking of doing it again, but recording it this time, and that way, because I can show the repeats and the failures and just put them up there, I won't have to record the audio afterwards. With this, you're just talking to yourself and then you die and you just realize you just wasted like half an hour on nothing, because you're not going to use that video, and you're just like, ugh. Or you're trying to think of something clever to say and completely failing, but you're not paying attention to what you're doing, and then you die. And you just wasted that time, because you're not going to upload all of those videos. You're going to edit some of them together and maybe make a shorter one, but this, yeah, you're not... I do mess up a lot, so bear with me. Hopefully I'll get this video done and up later today, and then we can move on. I've got a new capture thing, one that actually works in my Master System, because I had one that was like, yeah, I work with more modern systems. You got a PS3 or PS4? Xbox, whatever, PlayStation 2, I can capture that. And I'm like, I don't want to capture those. I want to capture this ancient piece of technology which most people don't care for, the Master System. Because that was the game system that I had back in the day. And that's the game system where a lot of the games which I challenge run are on. Because I've always sort of done them. So I want to do them again. And at this point, people who have skipped should be rejoining us. So we'll just resume our conversation. I was talking about challenge running and the fact that I've done it quite a bit. It was sort of like when I was growing up, we had a Master System. Other people had like the SNES, the NES, SNES. They had PlayStations, because I was still using an 8-bit console at that point, where other people had, yes, the original PlayStation. We did eventually get one when my mum broke out the Sega Master System. But yeah, at that point there were not many games, and you were just either playing your friends' games or whatever, and yeah, I didn't have many games to play through, so when you beat one, you were kind of like, I'm going to beat it this time, I'm not going to die, or I'm going to beat it this time, but I'm not going to pick up any power-ups. You did it that way because that way the game was interesting again and not boring, because, like I said, you didn't have all of these games that you could play. And I know that a lot of people probably grew up like that, and I'm not sure if, like, yeah. Did you try challenge running it? You just be like, look, I'm gonna just do a whole bunch of extra stuff because I can. And that's sort of where it's been. I'll play a game that either I think is lacking in some degree because it's like, hey, I'm not as enjoyable as I could be if I had like this feature, and then I'll just add that in myself. Like I was talking about earlier about Betrayer, and the fact that it's a horror game. It's not that scary because the monsters aren't threatening, but they are threatening if you restrict yourself to only using the knife. Because that way they can kill you very easily, but you have a lot more difficulty in the combat. So again, raises the horror stakes a little bit. It doesn't really fix the dread, you know, that you get when once you know what the monsters are, you're just like, oh yeah, that's it. Fine, whatever. There's no mystery there. You know what they're going to do. They're just going to attack you, which is kind of boring. Probably why I don't play a lot of horror games, is because they're scary at first and I can't stand them, but then the monster shows themselves and I'm just like, yeah, I don't care anymore. And it's terrible. So that's one thing you can use challenge runs for. 2 is to like revitalize it so that it stays like sort of fresh. Oh man, I can't believe I missed that. So I was trying to get the console to open the door, because I've done this level enough times to know that I will usually die by getting stuck in this section and just end up messing about until these guys eventually attrition me to death. And so the first thing I did was I ran down here and tried to open the doors so that we could get to the boss fight. It also shortens the amount of time that I've got to talk about bullshit for, which is nice. Now it's open, and we can just skip straight through to the boss, and it'll be fantastic. So yeah, I'm gonna do some more challenge runs on various different games that I have, just for the pure enjoyment of them. When I pick a challenge run, I pick it generally to suit my taste and what I'm feeling like, and also something that I think suits the game in many ways. So the next one I'm going to do is Rastan. I'm still having trouble getting this new capture box to work with the audio, because it is an outdated system, and yeah, I had to buy a capture box to capture footage from it specifically, and it seems fine, but then every so often it'll just, the audio will go funny, and I'm trying to fix that, and it's such a pain in the ass. Because I could emulate it, but emulators give you the temptation to cheat, and I own an actual Master System. I went out and I bought it, and I've been like rebuilding the library of games that I had. Yeah, that was beautiful. I'd sit down the mines so that Providence would teleport like straight into them at the beginning of the game. I think that I had forgotten that I was even carrying those mines with me at that point, like most of this, because I've been using them so sparingly. I think it's the case of like any massively powerful timed sort of cooldown based thing where you're just like, I gotta save it for an important situation, and you never use it because you're always saving it for something else. I've done that in games where I've had healing potions, and if they're not common enough, I'll be like, I'll never use them, because I'll be like, I've got to save them for something hard. And it'll be like, look, you're supposed to be using healing potions all the time, and I'm not. We've completely come off a tangent in the middle of a different conversation, but yeah. But here, I can totally use it, because there is no point after this in which to use it. And that is actually quite different from, again, how I would normally play it, because yeah, when I'm not using them, and then I don't use an item, and I completely forget that I even had it, and I'll beat the final boss and I'll be like, oh yeah, I had X, and I was saving it for this. Oh well! Same happens. I'm doing a Dungeons of Dreadmore video, because I figured that I can complete the game by getting all the achievements, and it will make me look like I'm, like, got the skills, when I don't. I'm going to do a guide on how to also complete the game, but by exploiting, like, the game in order to do so. Because that is the way that I used to do it. I know that some people are like, oh, exploits, that's cheating, you're not really doing stuff, but, like, when you were playing those old school games, if they got an exploit, you would use that exploit. You kind of had to half the time, because the things were just so phenomenally hard. They were like, hey, look, you have to be absolutely flawless in order to beat our game, because we designed it for an arcade experience, and we really just wanted you to put a lot of money into the machine. They're basically the assassins of games, killing you for coin. And while it was totally possible to beat a lot of arcade games without like spending any additional money past the first start point, generally you'd have to practice so many times that, you know, it wouldn't happen. I remember Chronicles of Mystara. Don't know, it's that D&D arcade game. I thought that that was the coolest because it had wizards in it, and that was why I was willing to put money into that and not something like Street Fighter. Which was cool because Street Fighter, you know, is awesome, but then I would die reasonably quickly, and it would be like, oh wow, I suck, and I just wasted coins on this. Whereas Chronicles of Mystara, just look it up. It is fun, and when it starts off, it's actually reasonably fair. But then, yeah, I don't think that Spirits really saved me here, because it's nice and easy to avoid all these attacks without it. And yeah, I had the Timekeeper's Secret to get me out of the initial like surge of energy and shit. And those energy like circles track you anyway. So I was always just going to dodge until I got my health back. So yeah, I think this was a legitimate run. And again, I don't know why I'm justifying myself to you. I don't need to. But yeah, we were talking about Chronicles of Mystara. It was fair when it started off. The first levels were always like well balanced because they're the ones that have to catch you. When you start, you're just like, yeah, this is awesome. And then later on it would be like, instant unavoidable death move. You'd be like, oh, that's totally unfair. And it's like, yeah, but you're near the end of the game. Why don't you put some money in that thing? It's just like, oh, you're right, I am near the end of the game. It's a shame that I don't have any money because I'm 6. And I spent it all. And I don't get any more money this year. I have to wait until my birthday next year now. Thanks a lot, game. But then, yeah, and that sort of design philosophy followed them over into the like home game consoles. Just jumping around, victory jumps. Yeah. That followed them into the home consoles, and they made them hard as balls because it was the same designers designing the same games. Half the time they were just ports, like really simplified ports. And they also made them crazy difficult because they were only like 15 to 20 minutes long. I beat Rastan in a test run just to see if it was entirely possible for me to do it, and at that point I was kind of like, why didn't I record that? Stupid fool. But I played through it without dying, and I was like, yeah, it is totally legit, and it is hard, and the game is designed, and it takes 20 minutes to beat the game. So it needed that hardness to make you replay the levels over and over again. So many games were like that. It was pretty crazy. And you see that in these old school redesigned games where they're like, hey, we're going to put bad checkpointing in because that's hard. And it's like, no it isn't, it's just annoying because I can do that platforming section and I can beat those easy monsters there. I just want to fight the boss now. I want to try again on that boss that killed me. Learn his patterns, but I can't because you're not going to let me. You're going to force me to play through this tedious platforming section and fight these little annoying enemies. I'm going to beat them. You're just wasting my time. Because I've been playing Odalis, the Dark Call, and it does that. It'll put you at the checkpoint in the bottom of a lengthy platforming section. I'm just like, I just want to fight the boss. He's the one who's going to kill me. This is easy. Stop making me do that. And it was the same thing with old games, which I think is why they do it. It wasn't good then. It was like, half the time you would have to replay level 1 and level 2 over and over again to the point where you had them committed to memory. And it's like, I could play these blindfolded, I know them so well. And it's just such a pain in the butt to have to do them again and again to get to the point that you actually want to play, the point that's actually interesting, that's actually a challenge. So you add a stupid challenge run on top of that in order to make them more entertaining. And there you go, that's another reason that you can do challenge runs. Oh my god, you should try some out. In fact, you should try this one out. It is fairly satisfying when you do it. You get a lot of practice, and then you'll never be able to play the normal game again because it will just be too easy. That's it for me. Until next time.